there is no such thing as healthy paranoia, because paranoia itself is a disease. We're going towards the psychological aspect, but we have to talk about this because one of the biggest problems with people is that they have fear, paranoia, and worries inside them, and they're trying to justify this instead of like looking at it and this fear is something I need to let go. I need to chill the fuck out, because in order to have the most accurate prediction of the future, you need to have a very clear mind. And we're constantly worrying about the future and thinking about the worst possibilities. You're wasting the present moment, because a lot of these politicians who are like super racist, who are trying to like destroy certain races or trying to like stop this technological growth by any means necessary, all of these people are being controlled by your fears. And there are many great dangers of being controlled by your fears, because you're constantly trying to solve problems that aren't even there. Like, for example, a lot of Mexicans are going towards America, and already I entered the conservative server like just yesterday, and I talked to them, and like most of them like want to just shoot them down, because for whatever reason they think that the jobs are going to be erased, all of their money is going to be like gone, and
they classify an entire group of people as illegal immigrants, even if those people are like trying to seek asylum. It's like they just lump them all together. It's like, you cross the border illegally, you're an illegal immigrant. It's like even if you're going through the fucking process,
Yeah,
like, it's just fucking
and
stupid.
It just goes to show how paranoia is extremely dangerous if you get that control you, because things are okay now. And if you just be happy and receptive and just do what you want to do and do what's helpful to you and helpful to other people now, then the future is going to be fine.
And
right now, things are good. Things are
It is
fine.
worth being concerned about this shit, though. Like, did you see the Trump CNN town hall that he did like a day or two ago?
I
don't know if you saw it.
Please talk about that.
He did the whole like. They're sending their worst. They're sending rapists, criminals. Like, he did all that, but like, he tagged on some extra thing. He's like, they're releasing them from prisons. They're releasing them from insane asylums and sending them over here. Like, this is like,
oh man,
this is the way he's like portraying it. Like, like they're sending over waves of like fucking just hardened criminals that are like it's fucking ridiculous, dude. Man. It's like,
oh man, like
the fact that does give me some concern for the future. Like, we already got concentration camps. Like, like we're just a step above, like, like having them be death camps, basically. Like we're not far off from that shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
and the fact that people vote for Trump is kind of ridiculous. And a lot of that has to do with people's paranoia, because right now, and like most Americans, yes, I know there are like homelessness in America and stuff, but like allowing all these immigrants in could be very beneficial in the long run, because A, they're new workers, and C, well, I mean, there are so many beneficiaries in the long run.
Yeah, there's so many benefits. Benefits. Like you need immigrants for the fucking economy to function.
Even like, from a science perspective, like from a gene perspective, like being inside the gene pool, certain gene pool, and like being super racist and pushing out other gene pool is kind of like a really bad idea, because if you look at history, a lot of the most ingenious people that have lived on Earth are who are sons and children of completely different race. Like certain black people have married certain white people, or certain Asians married certain Americans, or something like that.
No clue.
I mean, okay, I'm kind of bullshitting. I'm truly bullshitting, but there's also like the idea of like these people could like also solve your own homelessness problem by building more houses. Like there are definitely like issues with it, because one of the biggest issues with like having too many people in your country is that, well, if you don't expand your land, and have too many people concentrated on a little point of land, then it becomes a problem. But America doesn't have that problem, and even in a like globalist world, if America becomes too crowded, people will just go out of America and travel to different countries. So it's not even that much of a problem.
It frustrates me because like on one side you got all this paranoia, like, oh, they're releasing people from prisons and sending them over here to like rape your daughter or some shit, you know, and then on the other side you're like, you know, you got like legitimate concerns where it's like, hey, we got a bunch of people in concentration camps, you know, like
Yeah,
fucking,
you're
you know,
the ones who are like
make it
like
yeah, or like
imprisoning people, you know. Yes,
or like another one is like the trans shit. It's like, you know, you have a bunch of people who like are like, oh my god, they're grooming your children, you know, they're trying to have sex with your children, they're fucking, you know, like they're like just all this fucking ridiculous shit, and then
yeah,
like,
and
you know, on
most
the
that's
flip side,
yeah, and most of that stuff is a really case to case by case, you know. Like yes, obviously
I
violent
mean,
crimes happen,
yeah, I don't
but
think a trans person shouldn't be like let off the hook if they're a pedophile. Like, of course, like let's
yeah,
fucking arrest that person. But like, fucking, I just don't get it. Where it's like they're literally trying to legislate away the existence of trans people, and me even saying that is like controversial. It's like it's kind of what's happening. You
yeah.
know,
I think
like if,
yeah, people just kind of try to generalize a lot of people, and as much as I criticize these people, I know it's very easy to mistakenly or lazily generalize certain things and people and
well,
tropes.
listen,
Because you know,
I'm not going to say like every person who's anti-trans wants to legislate away the existence of trans people, but I bet if you like polled people who are anti-trans, I bet a lot of them would be in support of like making being trans illegal.
yeah,
You know,
and
like
I
it's
know
like
like certain
definitely
memes that are happening, like, oh, all the Republicans are bad, and like, and yes, it is kind of rude and generalizing to say that, but at the same time, most of the Republicans are Republicans because they agree with the
yeah,
policies that their
yeah,
politicians are making. So as a
yeah. Well,
result, you have to like
it's
talk
the
shit to some.
exception, not the rule. Like the
Yeah,
people who like go outside of that, the people who are like, you know, like, oh, maybe I'm a little transphobic, but like I'm cool with like people if they want to be 18 and turn trans, like I'm cool with that. Like those people are few and far between. You know, most of them
yeah,
like are very hard line, like lockstep behind. You know,
yeah.
like it's kind of fair to generalize. I've met a few fucking right wingers that aren't transphobic. You know, I've definitely met them, but
Yeah,
it's pretty rare.
yeah, yeah. It's weird. Like, yeah. I know more. Like, not every single Nazi is the same. But if you are a Nazi and you call yourself a Nazi, then chances are you might be an asshole.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
And technological growth is good because I think as much as people say there, oh, certain rich people are gathering all the wealth and
No, that's
having
definitely
too much
happening.
wealth and stuff like that. At the same time,
Yeah,
that is true because that is clearly happening. But at the same time, there are 8 billion people on Earth, and in order to supply for all of these people, we need to improve our technology, and all of this AI and stuff like that are really helpful in improving people's lives.
yes and no. Yes and no. Like, I think it's just going to turn into some corporate bullshit that ends up just stagnating our society. Like, it'd be great if
I
we
mean,
fucking nationalize
we
this
need to
shit.
look
Like, you
very
know,
we need to look
OpenAI wasn't
very
owned by
deeply into
Microsoft,
this
like,
because whenever all this like corporation blah 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 happens, the biggest question comes in like, why can't you create your own company? Like if certain companies like I don't know YouTube or certain companies like Tesla is super corrupted, why don't you create your own company that does what Tesla or YouTube or Twitch does, just better?
because it's going to be hosted on fucking Microsoft or Amazon servers. You know,
And
it's going to
make
be
your own
fucking
server. You can
like
always do
you
that.
have you're looking at, if you want to make a social media site, even for a janky ass one, you're looking at like $100 million plus. You know, so there's like a huge fucking, you know,
Yeah,
it's
and
really, really fucking expensive to do
yeah, and
something like that.
most of the reason is why it's expensive because our technology is not great. You know, it's not great. Like there's so
Yeah,
many.
but that's the thing is,
Yeah,
it's like you look at like somewhere like China and you look at their fucking their social media networks, and it's like, dude, it's like, they have like, what fucking Elon Musk is trying to do, but he's too much of a fucking idiot too. The X, the everything app, like that's what
there's
he's
definitely
marketing
a
now.
lot of things we could learn from Chinese people, but unfortunately, China is so closed off because China has the biggest population in the human world, and clearly that has so many advantages. Yeah.
Hey, good luck turning Twitter into the everything app. Like good fucking luck with that. You can't even get like most of the fucking features working right.
One big issue is that our regulations themselves also create monopolies, because one of the biggest reasons why Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter is not evolving as best as it could is because of copyright laws. Like, I realized that the reason why Twitter doesn't allow 10 plus minute videos on Twitter is entirely because of copyright, and China doesn't have much strict copyright, and the copyright law is bad. Patent laws are pretty bad. There are a lot of laws that create monopolies, and people keep defending it, unfortunately. What's your opinion on that?
Even like if you like recreate a feature on a site, like if they have a patent for that feature, it's like, oh, you violated their fucking patent.
Yeah, that's bad. That's antitrust. It's anti-competitive. It's messed up.
Set aside another $100 million for fucking legal fees. There you go.
Man, like America's there are so many messed up laws in America, man. Copyright and patents are definitely one of them, because it is just hampering scientific development so much.
Hey, there's like a thing recently they were doing like tort reform in Florida recently. I live in Florida, and it's like, they're basically making it harder to like sue your insurance company if they don't like if they don't pay out on your claim.
Oh man.
like making it like it's just so funny. Like, they're always on the side of like whether it's like some Democrats are like better, but like Democrat or Republican, usually they're on the side of big business and big money interests.
It's such a connected thing. It's because I think in order to improve certain things, first of all, we need to improve our democracy. Because I don't know, I really don't think the current copyright laws, like, for example, if a author dies, then 70 years later, that thing becomes, the creation becomes public domain. I don't think even like majority of Americans agree with that, because that is bullshit. That's entirely there because Mickey Mouse, that's so that Disney doesn't make so that Mickey Mouse is in the public domain. That's only there because of that. And even something like patents are like made by the lobby of certain corporations, and if you just make it find ways to improve our democracy and make it so that everyone single person has a thing to say, and not just whoever corporations like gave money to certain politicians, then if you change that, then things should get better.
Democracy is fundamentally fucking broken at this point. Like, I want democracy, but like, dude, we got somebody running for president who's like fucking, he still refuses to admit that he lost the last election.
Ah, man.
So it's either he won it, and he was president for the last 4 years and can't run again, or he didn't win it and he's lying. Either way, like, you're unqualified to be president. You know what I mean?
And one thing you need to understand is that everything is connected. Democracy needs to be improved, but in order to use a very improved democracy, the citizens have to be well informed and super smart. And in order for citizens to be super smart and effective, copyright, patent laws have to be abolished. They have to be, because like every single person needs to like watch certain movies for free, or get any information or the best form of educational and entertainment content as available and as fast as possible. That's how like your population could be smart. If your population can't do that, then a lot of people will just end up dumb, because a lot of these freaking Republicans are people who don't use internet, people who don't read a lot of a lot of this news and the internet, or who don't like even have internet access. There are like super conservative Christians who refuse to go on the internet, and it's crazy. And there are also a lot of Republicans who just don't want to consume any fictional, like any good fictional stories. You know, good. They just don't want to associate themselves with any art that is, you know, because art is against religion apparently.
I can't count the amount of times that like I've seen, you know, like the reactionary right wingers on YouTube talking about like how controversial like some new kids movie is because like there's like a black actress or there's like a fucking like, oh my god, they made the Little Mermaid black. It's like,
yeah, like this should be normal
dude.
thing.
It's like you're just self-reporting, bro. Like,
yeah. It doesn't look normal to you because you're racist. That's the thing.
Yeah, like you're saying, like the problem is inherently that, like, you know, like they cast a black actress for this. Like, oh my god, like what about the representation of, you know, like redheaded girls? Like, ridiculous. Like, shit's too funny.
Yeah, it's a very multi-layered thing. But I do think that there is a great power in information, and therefore a lot of this copyright patent and a lot of this cancel culture needs to be banned in general. Like stop, ban the bans.
You say cancel. I think certain ideologies should be canceled. Like, I don't think somebody should be posting up on YouTube like, "Hey, we need another genocide" kind of video. Or
I
you know,
know,
some
like
shit, like
I know these types
like-
of like dumb shit are like dumb, but at the same time, there are so many people who are like there's no line in between because there are certain very smart people who are like says something that's against the majority, but usually if you like listen to the logic of these certain people, then they actually might be saying something helpful. Yes,
Hey.
obviously, like the people who are like trying to destroy the world are not that type of people, but you know, it's like allowing such content is not the worst thing ever. Like, you can post a video saying that like kill every single non-Americans. Like maybe some dude comes over there and says that, and even if you like allow that video to be on YouTube, the comment section are going to be angry towards it and explain why the original poster
not necessarily
is
like
wrong.
YouTube like feeds you like videos that you like, you know what I mean? It's like if you're watching a bunch of right-wing content, you're gonna be getting that shit. So the comment section is gonna be dominated by people like that are, you know, in that algorithmic.
But you can always like talk about to those people in the comment section because, you know, as much as of a messed up thing it is, even them posting this video is good for themselves because I can go to the comment section and explain why their thought process is wrong, and those like racists could like at least look at my comment and think at least doubt themselves.
When
you know,
when you say that, like you sound like it sounds like what the libertarians say, or it sounds like what like Dave Rubin, you know, says, where it's like, oh, like, you know, the intellectual marketplace of ideas, and you know, like competition will eliminate the bad ideas and promote the good ideas, and it's like, you know, that's not how it works out.
No. Like why did you become such a pessimist? You know, like because clearly Tokno Jutsu works.
The shit the shit like kind of rises to the top. You know what I mean? It's like
you have no like, other option but to talk. You know?
Look at like Andrew Tate, for example. You know what I mean? Like that's a perfect example.
I don't even know Andrew Tate. I don't even watch Andrew Tate. But if I were to watch Andrew Tate, I'm just going to like say something that tries to change their mind if they're saying wrong things, and that's fine. That's good because, you know, people who enjoy those types of content, they can at least like watch, I guess. And yes, I know the dangers of like
no, but like part of the game they play is basically it's like the alt-right playbook, where what they do is they just like continuously say like more and more egregious shit to like invoke a reaction out of people, and when they get the reaction, you know, they win basically. You know, like, oh, like look at these like people getting all triggered, like look at how I'm like getting them all riled up, like, you know. But like, dude, if you don't respond to it, they just keep saying worse and worse shit until they eventually get a response
But
out of you.
here's the
They're always
thing.
going to get the response.
Even like
So-
certain right wingers having a satisfaction of triggering other people is good. In a lot of ways, it's good because eventually you're going to get bored of that. Because there was a time when I was a teenager
No.
that I really liked making other people angry and taking a reaction out of them. I was
Hey,
like that when I was like
I'm sure
16
plenty
or
of people
like
got bored
15.
with. I'm
And
sure plenty
eventually
of
I
people got
did
bored
get
with
bored.
Steven Crowder.
Because
But, like-
eventually I did
like-
get bored because in my own experience I did like absolutely get a kick out of certain people's reactions, but eventually I did get bored of it. Like it's pointless. I saw it. And one of the things
Yeah.
about life is that there are certain dumb people like me when I was a dumb teenager, that you never know that something is stupid until you try it. You never know like what you're saying that your ideology is bad until you believe that ideology and fight for that ideology until the very end, until you you have no choice but to accept the fact that you were wrong and I was wrong in the past, because that's how life goes. This is also why like a lot of these Republicans are getting more and more aggressive. They become more and more aggressive because they're also realizing that they might be wrong, because usually people get mad and angry when they kind of realize they have fears inside of them. When you have a fear that you're wrong, that you're like doing the wrong thing, that you don't know anything, then fear kind of arises, you know.
You see that thing with Tucker and his text that got leaked recently?
I think I heard a little bit of it, but I want you to talk.
So there was one text where he's like talking about like a Antifa member that basically got like swarmed. Like it was a Antifa counter protester that was fucking swarmed by a bunch of right wing like MAGA shitheads, or I think it was like literally some white supremacist organization or some shit, and they were like beating the shit out of this Antifa guy like 4-on-1, and he was basically like I looked at that and I I wanted to see his head getting pounded into the concrete. Like I wanted to I wanted to see them hurt this guy even more, and like I was questioning if he started questioning whether or not he was like a bad guy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That's good. Because one thing people don't realize is that there is a difference between certain people say that, oh, this person is evil, and when this person as time goes on and you see your example, you say Tucker is like this kind of evil person, and in the past,
but he is though. He's
but here's the
ruminating
thing,
on whether or not he's a
less
bad guy
evil than he was in the past.
But
because
he's
as
like
you said,
transparently coming out and saying he wants to see this dude's head get he's saying he enjoys it. He's questioning whether or not that makes him a bad person. But
that is an evil act.
He
that
still
is true.
sticks to it.
That is an evil act. But compared to being completely oblivious to your own evil act, that's less evil.
No, I mean he's aware of it and he
that's
continues
good. Being
with that
aware
ideology.
that you're an asshole is a really good trait.
He reflected on it and he was like, "Nah, actually, I'm right." He's
at least
"Does
he
this make me a
doubted.
bad guy?"
That's the point.
Whatever.
Because here's the thing: when someone is so evil, you kind of hate that person and don't appreciate or look and see the growth that they're going through. Because someone being an evil bastard and someone being a little bit of an evil bastard, there's someone being a level 10 evil bastard and some then becoming a level 9 evil bastard is a character growth, because they're realizing little by little that they're wrong. Tucker literally said that, am I the bad guy? Because in the past, I think Tucker was he got the money, he would just say some racist dumb shit on live all the time.
Yeah.
And
but the thing is, he's reflecting. He's reflecting on whether or not he's a bad guy.
Now at least he's reflecting
on whether or not. No, but he's reflecting and he's continuing with it. He's okay, maybe I am the bad guy, but I'm going to continue being the bad guy. Or no, I'm not the bad guy.
But like you said, that's still growth.
Those are the only.
He's doubling down. He realizes he's an asshole, but I'm an asshole. I'm going to continue doing it. That's bad, but it's not.
Yeah.
But compared to his past self, that's a growth. it is bad, but compared to his previous life,
Yeah,
it is a growth.
He's not ignorantly
It's
racist. Like now, he's like intentionally racist.
But
It's like
you don't
it's like
understand
a
the
step in
fact
the
that these people are
step in the wrong
growing in their own twisted way. You know.
Yeah, he leveled up in his racism. Like now he's like more conscious of his racism and how damaging it is. But he's like, or not racism in this case. It's about like the Antifa dude. But he's like,
But like that's
competent of
good.
his like.
Like if you look at all the like great fictional stories, like a lot of villains start off like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm completely right, and then they like realize they're wrong, and they continue to do that wrong thing, while realizing that's the wrong thing, man. And as much as that seems like a jackass thing to do, it is a character growth, because at least now you're realizing that you are an asshole, and to a certain extent you're accepting that, and without accepting that you will never change your way, because if you never like go down, if you try to like hold on to this high horse of being the good guy, you will never grow, because a lot of these like evil people like Hitler and stuff like that, they're doing all that stuff because they have justifications for the things they do. They think they're the hero and everything they do is right, and every cruel thing they do is right. At least Tucker now realized that, okay, I might not be a great guy. At least he's and aware of that, and that is a growth. Howsoever small it is a growth, and I'm glad that at least there is a change in that aspect. There is so much things he needs to learn. There is so much to learn, but you know, it's step one, I guess.
Yeah, I just kind of see it as like somebody like being like self-aware, you know, like for like half a second, and then just being like, whatever. You know?
Yeah, like in the past, I like had.
I don't see it as like
because
huge. Like he's still the same racist shitbag he was. It's just like, you know, like I don't know. Maybe behind the scenes he's like, you know, shit, I'm kind of audience captured. You know, like this kind of sucks. Like, you know, I want to be racist, but I don't want to be like fucking.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like.
Yeah.
I still think he's a piece of shit, though.
Like, character development, like human consciousness development, it happens with step by step. You know, when I was 15, I was like super egotistical. I like spewed a bunch of bullshit without any research, and I would usually like go, oh, I'm right, I'm always right, like my opinion is like objectively like there was a point in my life that I actually thought that I was like an objectively right, opinionated person, and that's a very dangerous way path that
shit you're missing. Like even if you're right on certain shit, there's like you don't, like, you're not a fucking genius. Nobody is like on that level where you know everything. Like you don't.
But like if I like create a time machine and went back in my like 15 or like 4, maybe it's like 16-year-old me, I would probably like beat the shit out of them, just out of like to teach us a lesson.
Maybe you can give me some advice. I'm having issues with my dad right now, basically, where he's like a reactionary shithead. He's a fan of Matt Walsh, all this shit. I try to point out how fucking bad, you know, these people he listens to are, and he's like, "Oh, you're like a little Hitler. Like, oh, you're fucking like you don't want me to have free speech. You don't want me to have my own ideas." Like basically me criticizing his ideas. Like he thinks I'm trying to like cancel him or like strong arm him into like, you know, on some level I am trying to strong arm him into like not being a piece of shit. You know, like, but you know, basically, like he's just, you know, he's constantly going on and on about like, you know, how trans people are fucking, you know, grooming children, all that dumb shit. He's constantly going on and on about how fucking, you know, like just basically like, you know, socialism is gonna fucking ruin the country, and you know, like all this dumb shit. And anytime I criticize him, it's like, you know, at this point I don't even talk to him, because I'm just like, you know, like if you won't even reflect on any of this shit, you know, like he's calling me a fascist, and I'm like, hey, here's a screenshot, you know, saying that, you know, scholars place fascism on the fucking, you know, far right of the political spectrum, and you know, here's your favorite political commentator Matt Walsh, and oh, look at his Twitter, it says he's a theocratic fascist. You know, when you look at that, you know, it's like, you know, and then he's like you're little Hitler, you're a fascist. I'm like, dude, like either fucking reflect on this shit or don't talk to me. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, it's something that's going to be like change with time, But one of the biggest also like problems with old people is that, like, just like me when I was teenager, despite them being old, they act like teenagers. And one of the biggest issues with a lot of middle-aged people and old people is that they have so much life experience, and they uh, develop a certain ego because of that like experience. Like, I'm older than you, I know everything, blah blah blah. I lived 50 years while you lived 30 years, and
Exactly, and that's part of it, like that that
yeah,
condescending bullshit where it's like I'm clearly like more well informed on this shit than he is, but like he thinks I'm like, he's like, oh, Bernie Sanders isn't gonna save you, like, oh, why don't you like go get a job, then you can, like, I'm in college right now, and he's like, just doing all these like little personal attacks, like, go get a job, maybe then AOC will marry you. I'm just like, what the fuck, like, like, just because I'm not some like reactionary like bobblehead that's freaking out over AOC and fucking Bernie Sanders. Like, I'm kind of a fan of them. Like, I'm never bringing them up. It's like what the fuck, like, like,
yeah,
you think I'm just like just the condescending fucking bullshit when it's like you're literally a fan of a dude who says that like 16 is the ideal breeding age. Like, come on, like. Like, let's fucking take a step back and compare our two sides. Like, fucking hell.
While I do think that these old people are kind of like stuff like that, but I also do think that having the ability to see like the situation in so many different routes of logic is really important, because one of the things I like learned as an anime YouTuber, I guess, and as a person who just scrolls through the internet and consumes so much information, is that life is big and there are so many different ways to look at certain things, and
Yeah.
and
But that's part of the problem is, like, he'll be like spouting off some talking points, and I'll be like, hey, that talking point like came from a memo from the Heritage Foundation, right? And I'll like pull up the fucking memo that the Heritage Foundation sent out to a bunch of fucking people that's like, oh, here's the talking point we should use, and then it's like even then he won't fucking listen to me. Even then he'll be like, oh, like, like you're just like spitting off, like, he'll tell me I'm spitting off talking points when he's like, like, I'm like, here's the fucking receipts. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just like, it kills me. Like, I literally know where he's coming from, and I like, like, I'm like, yeah, like, here's like, like, you probably heard it from one of these three pundits, and like they got it as a talking points memo from the fucking Heritage Foundation, and here's that fucking
yeah,
it's just like, nope, like, over his head, and he like projects and accuses me of the thing that I'm like pointing out that he's doing. You know what I mean? It's like,
mm-hmm.
like, how can you have a conversation with somebody like that? Like, that's just
Yeah,
I don't
but yeah,
I don't know. Like, I get seeing it from other people's point of views, and you can't necessarily like know what somebody else is thinking and what led them to that position and yada yada. But sometimes you can. Like, sometimes you can like literally like you know exactly what fucking pundits they're listening to. You know exactly like who these fucking people are funded by. You know exactly exactly where this shit's coming from. Like the trans groomer shit. Like we I can't remember the name of the dude, but we know that, like, some dude basically just spread that talking point around a bunch of, right-wing media organizations.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's complicated issues. Yeah, and well, yes, I also do think that there are a lot of problems with adults and boomers these days. There's also the fact that, well, in order to have the most like I guess right opinion, in order to like have a better consciousness, you just need to doubt everything you know, and even your morality system, because there's so much in our morality system, in our religions, and in our beliefs, and the way how our lives is that there's so many things are the way they are because I told you so type of like beliefs in so many religions and so many moral systems
there's a
too.
lot of. I agree that you should be skeptical you know, but like there's a lot of people who like use that as like an avenue. Like there's a lot of like conspiracy theory nuts who are like, you know, you need to question everything, you know, like even shit that's like coming from like a trusted institution, you know, question that, you know, like everything should be like,
I mean,
you know,
yeah.
everything's up
Then
in the,
again, these
like
people, like
there's a
it's a
lot of
very case to
fascist
case
people who
basis. Like obviously, flat earthers, you know, they're wrong. I'm sorry,
like
they're wrong, but they're
well like
definitely uh like
perfect
certain
example is like
conspiracies that are like, you know, might be
listen like
right.
so like the Russian disinformation shit, you know, like that's like that was one of the tactics that they used was just like seeding doubt in everything, you know, basically everything's up in the air, everything's questionable,
I
and
mean, to
then
be
once
fair,
that's the
everything
case,
is
it's
sort
like
of questionable with or without the Russians. I really don't know what you're like
no,
exactly talking about.
the point I'm making is that like there are some things that are definitely like there are truths in the world. You know what I mean? Like some things are more true than other things. And like if
Example,
everything's
because
if
everything
everything's up in the
is
air,
kind of questionable, to be honest.
well, we know that the earth revolves around the sun.
Yes, but here's the thing.
But like but if you tell people that like oh like you know like NASA's lying about this and
Oh
that
yeah,
and
yeah,
oh
yeah,
my god
obviously
like
that.
look at
But here's the thing.
like
People
then
know about that because they
you have a
certain people
bunch of people who don't believe you
like
have a bunch of people that don't believe that the earth revolves around the sun anymore, you know, once you have
flew
that.
into Earth. You know, like certain people like built up a spaceship and they went out, and also like even before them, people like created telescopes and they saw that, and they knew through because of that. You know, it is true that it is kind of ridiculous how all of this like flat earthers and like, all that people are acting.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
You need to
obviously
have
there's
like a filter
overwhelming
for shit.
evidence for
You need
it.
to you need to have a good filter for discerning like what's true and what's not, because otherwise disinformation wins and anything could be true, and that's like an incredibly dangerous fucking environment to live in, you know?
I
Like you got
know
people
it's all about balance, right? Because I think every single like circumstance is like different. Like something like vaccines, people are saying that oh, you know, these vaccines are gonna kill you all. You should be always be unvaccinated. That's not true. Like you know, that's wrong. You know,
listen,
obviously there
you
are
should be
like if you look at all the
you should,
stats, you could listen to all the doctors what they're saying. Obviously, you should get some form of vaccination, especially trusted
yeah.
vaccinations. Yes, but I
Yeah, well
also
that's the thing. You should be open-minded, but you shouldn't be so open-minded that your brain falls out. You know, that's the whole
yeah,
point. Is
at
like,
the end of
yeah,
the day,
you
it's
should be
about you know
skeptical,
trust.
but
You
like,
know, like do you trust this source or not? And I think a lot of deep scientific way to look at our way of life is really important.